Alright, good afternoon. This light is kind of horrible above my head, so I'm going to get a little bit closer to the camera. So one of the things I want to talk about today, specifically, there's already a video I took, but I'm going to do a better video this time. Again, as always, this is OBC Explorers. As I mentioned before, my one YouTube account is not going to just be one thing. As someone who has ADHD, I cannot make an account that is specifically just curated on one thing. So, something I want to talk about is, I can talk about curating a YouTube channel for a minute. You don't necessarily have to have a YouTube account that is just one thing. There are plenty of people out there who post tons of things on their Instagram account. You know, most of my account was supposed to be about photography and exploring, but I'm also going to include a little bit about life talks on there as well. So, I'm definitely struggling at the age of 26 with life. You know, I struggle big time with it. You know, it's a very difficult thing for me. You know, I was someone who had everything. Honestly, like 2.5 years ago, I was coming up. You know, I was someone who had gotten themselves together for a decent, you know, part of my life. You know, I was getting pretty good and decent where I wanted to be in life. I had a car. I had a nice car. I had a 2022 Hyundai Elantra. I was exploring places, you know, getting a lot of video, mostly photo. But I think it's important to document and take photos and video of just about whatever you're doing in life. I think today it's very easy to have a video go viral if you keep grinding, you know. And that's something I regret not doing. Is from the years of 2021 leading up to 2023, I was exploring so many places. And, you know, I'm still going to do that. You know, I wrecked my car back in 2022. Actually, sorry, 2024. I don't know why I said 2022. And, you know, I had gone to Echo Stage. I saw Nostalgics Friday night, and this girl that I was interested in, and to this day still very, very interested in, and want to be in a committed relationship with, we went and saw DJ Diesel Saturday night. And so what had happened was, I was working for Amazon at the time, and I'd worked Friday night. You know, I worked the entire Friday night. I picked her up. We went down to see Nostalgics at Soundcheck, which is sadly closing in January. It's a popular club in DC. And then I worked Saturday, 8-hour shift, delivered all through Dundalk, Baltimore area. I picked her up, and then we went down again. This time went to Echo Stage and saw DJ Diesel. So working, you know, about a 16-hour shifts, you know, both days, you know, 8 hours there, both days, you know, 16 hours total. And then going down to D.C. the same night after going back up to Harford County, you know, then going down to D.C. It's a lot, you know, and I overdid it, and I wrecked my car, fell asleep behind the wheel. So it's like now I'm working my way back up again and trying to get back to where I was. You know, I was making decent money, and I think I beat myself up a lot over the fact that, you know, I don't have a car right now, and I want to get back into the world of exploring. You know, I'm an artist, and being an artist is very, very hard. When you can't make your ideas a reality, it frustrates you, and it kind of like you eat away at yourself. You get angry, you know, and I'm very frustrated right now as a person. You know, I've failed as an artist time and time again, you know. I'm trying to get people together to make my ideas a reality, you know. And it's difficult when you have these abandoned places get torn down before you can create in them, especially when you have a vision that you might have to tweak and do it somewhere else. You know, I didn't start exploring until I was 19. So it's like I feel like I was late at starting, you know. I grew up with a mother who was very overprotective of me, so it's like I didn't really get to explore much of the world at a young age. You know, like the first time I went up to Philly was when I was 19. And Philly is a great place to explore. And, you know, she got upset and freaked out the fact that I'm going up to Philly like it's such a dangerous place. It's not like I'm going to Detroit's 8 Mile, you know. For any 16-year-old out there or teenager, you know, you should be able to explore. You know, it doesn't matter if your parents tell you, you know, no, don't go here, don't go there. Find a way and make it happen, okay? Like, you know, I wish I had explored Philly sooner because there's so many abandoned places in Philly that are no longer abandoned or torn down that I could have been in creating in much sooner. When I started photography at the age of 14, I was more interested in wildlife and space. But it's like you have to find a way to curate yourself and kind of find an audience that you can curate to and find what is popular. Like, I'm not talking about hop on the trend, but do something different. Because today, Urbex is definitely rising, and it has taken over. And I kind of wish I had started sooner before it started to take a rise and get out of control, because too many people are into this now. And, you know, I mean, it's very easy to connect with other people who are exploring, but it's like these places get torn down very, very quickly. So I regret not putting myself out there sooner. You know, you're a teenager, you know, don't let your parents be so strict towards you, you know. You want to go take the bus up to Philly, you know, you don't have your license yet, go ahead and do it. You know, your parents tell you that it's unsafe, you know, you don't have to tell them. I mean, tell them, but don't tell them until you're already doing it, okay? Like, you know, you have your own free will to do what you want to do. You know, and I feel like that should start once you turn the age of 13. You know, you are a teenager when you turn 13. You know, you want to get a bunch of friends together and go explore some abandoned building, do it. You want to throw a party in an abandoned building, do it. You know, there are so many creative ideas I have for all you guys who are young and just becoming teenagers. You know, you find an abandoned house, figure out what your favorite color is, paint the walls of the abandoned house, make sure it's like in a discreet area, you know you're not going to get in trouble, and paint it a bunch of different colors. You know, your favorite color is red, paint the walls red in one of the rooms, find a bunch of toys that are red, or do an opposite color scheme. Find a bunch of toys that are green on the red background, like find some green, like Tonka toy trucks, some green figurines, anything that's green, and make the room a whole setup, you know, like setup in these abandoned places. When I first started abandoned photography, I didn't like setups, but you got to think outside the box and do something different, you know. And I'm thinking out there, like, I feel like I'm running out of time. There are so many ideas that I should have done when I was younger, but I wasn't thinking outside the box. Being taught that, you know, breaking the rules is bad. As an artist, you gotta break the rules. You see a no trespassing sign? Trespass, okay? Make sure that it's okay to trespass there. Do your research on these places. Check out to make sure the house isn't up for sale on Zillow. And if it is, actually make sure it is up for sale on Zillow. Because if it's not showing up on Zillow, chances are that someone might have bought it. And you have to be careful about exploring these places, you know? So, that's being said, you never know when these places are going to be torn down. So make sure to create in them. And that's all I can say. It's just like, one of the ideas I have is, like I said, painting these walls and just coming up with all these crazy art ideas. So you got to just do it. You know, and this is coming from someone who's 26, who wants to spend the next 4 years really, really creating and getting deep into art more, you know. So, yeah. You know, I had a lot of struggles, and I still have a lot of struggles. Someone called me while I was trying to do this video, so now I gotta splice this together in CapCut. I hate when that happens. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, you have to just kind of just be free as an artist and create, you know. I have severe anxiety for a lot of the ideas that I didn't do, you know. Going down to D.C. and taking photos of Trump's whole ballroom idea, you know. Taking photos of the East Wing being torn down, you know. So, yeah. That being said, you know, I don't really know, you know. But yeah, you kind of have to just create and think outside the box of things. And I can't express that enough, you know. It's Christmas time. You know, go into these abandoned places and dress up as Santa Claus and do a whole scene with presents or something, you know, in the den. You know, you could put in a Christmas tree in with Christmas presents and act like Santa Claus, and you're putting out the presents. You know, there's so much that you can do in these spaces, you know. So yeah, you know, as I said before, just please continue to create, never give up, keep pushing forward as an artist, you know. And Godspeed. You know, this has been OBC Explorers. Please continue to watch my videos, as I said before, and create. Don't let someone else get you down and not understand, you know, what you're doing creatively. Just do you, because you never know when that crazy idea is gonna take you places you never thought you'd get to in life. So, peace.